Hi guys, welcome again to Luna's Corner. I'm Luna Jade, and today we'll be talking about the do's and don'ts of paganism. Where to begin? Okay, out of all things we do in paganism, there's sort of an etiquette when it comes to practicing and even when interacting with other practitioners. Yes, I know I said this is very liberating and very free, and there's no rules to paganism. But there is a sort of etiquette to follow. So yes, there are things that you shouldn't do. Let's begin. I've seen this a lot. And yes, I know a lot of you mean well, but don't criticize others' practice. This is something that's led absolutely by intuition. Questioning or criticizing how somebody chooses to practice is not going to go well with you. It's not going to help you in your personal growth or your growth as a practitioner. The next one we have discussed in the prior video that if you're interested, I will put the link down below or above. Don't break the bank. Spending a ridiculous amount of money to have witchy things or this witchy aesthetic is actually not necessary and doesn't make your practice any more legit. You can find things, like I said in the previous video, you can go to backyard and find things, or in the woods, outdoors, nearby, anywhere. All these things are free. Don't practice without actually doing the research first. I see a lot of people going on Facebook groups asking, what do I do for this? Or what do I do for that? When they don't know the reason behind it. Like, for example, how do I do a cord cutting? When they don't even know how to open a ritual circle, or how to cleanse their circle, or open a circle thrice so they are protected. So all of that comes into play, and all of that is known and learned throughout research. Just read, and it's very simple. This is not a fake it till you make it type deal, and you can't expect to have a good outcome in your practice if you don't do the work it goes into growing in your practice. Many of these teachings have been passed on from witches and generations. All these books and all this content that's appearing out of nowhere, this has been passed on from witches well beyond our years that we will never know about. But here's the thing. The most important part is you grab a little bit of everything and learn from these experiences, but you must do the research. Again, disclaimer. I don't, and under any circumstances, say that you cannot experiment or, because that is how you learn and that is how you grow in your practice. But you experiment and practice with what you know, and to know, you have to do the research. I'm sorry if I'm being a little redundant with that, but it's very important because it kind of tells you where you're going, what are you doing, Another one, and this is very, very important, and I've seen this so many times, it's very sad to me. You're in this practice, you're committed. And further along the road, you feel like this is not what you want. This is not what you're connected to. And it's sad that a person wastes so much time and energy and knowledge to finally come to the realization that maybe this is not for me. So, yes, it's okay to change your mind, but that's why doing the research is so important. You can anticipate what is expected, and then you can either stay or walk away. Next one. And this is very, very controversial because we all have different opinions when it comes to this, but don't tell everybody you're a witch. Why? Don't get me wrong, I am as proud as the next pagan, but for me to yell it out to everybody, It's just perpetuating what I dislike the most about other religions, trying to shove my religion down others' throats, which is not what I want to do. So don't do that. Next one. Don't. When working with a deity, if it's something that you choose to do further along the road, never force a deity to work with you. And I've heard this so many times. Oh, I want to work with Hecate, or I want to work with Artemis, or they will choose you. And there's definitely more than a million signs that they can show to you. This you'll learn in further videos that I might be able to go into detail into this. But just don't force a deity to working into you. It's not going to work well with you. Don't ever compare your practice to somebody else's. We aren't the same, and we all have different paths. So diversity is what makes us beautiful. So just don't compare yourself. Speaking of diversity, this is a little bit controversial, but here goes. Never appropriate a practice that isn't yours. Native American practice tribal magic and modern magic, and they make a living from the cultivation of certain herbs and plants like white sage and among other items. The sale of these from outside of the Native American culture is ethically wrong due to it being so sacred to them, and they profit from it. This is going to be even more controversial. Voodoo is yet another form of magic, yes, but is also a cultural practice that should remain within the cultural background. I am definitely going to receive backlash from this one, but it is important for me to speak about it. Am I gatekeeping? No, I'm merely stating the facts that other people don't want to hear or feel uncomfortable. But yeah, I'm not saying you can't practice voodoo. I'm saying that if you're invited into that culture, if you're invited into that practice, then yeah, fairly so. But don't appropriate, or, just don't appropriate the practice. It's not okay. So, all that being said, what are your thoughts on this controversial subject? Like, please leave a comment below, because I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Okay, now for the do's. Here we go again. I am very repetitive when it comes to this, but it's so important, so important. Research. Read. Paganism is a broad subject, and it has many topics that you should know about before diving headfirst into spell work or divination or deities. More importantly, paganism isn't only about spells. It's not about reading tarot. It's not about collecting crystals. It's about a personal journey, believe it or not. It's a relationship with the universe itself. And the idea that we're all connected, and how to reach your higher self, which is very important. The whole idea is always to improve, right? Join groups. Like I've stated before, something that has helped greatly is joining Facebook groups. Join groups and follow people on Instagram, follow people on Twitter that can provide the support, that can help. There are tons of groups on social media. You can join and share your journey with them. It's comforting to know that you're not the only one out there, that you're not alone, that other people share your path too, and your questions as well. Okay, this will be a subject on its own. Shadow work and meditation. The dreaded shadow work. I know we all want to avoid the subject because it makes you look deep into your consciousness and evaluate yourself. I'm sorry. And what you need to improve on, or whatever needs your attention the most. This is a very, very intense journey. So out of everything that you're going to do in this path, this is the most important besides the research. You have to, in order to grow in your path and in order to advance in your path, you need to make sure that you cover all your shadow work. Why? And yes, I'm gonna play a devil's advocate on this one, because not a lot of people want to do shadow work. And besides that, it's like, it's necessary. It's a necessary evil that we just have to go through. And listen, it doesn't mean you can't practice. It doesn't mean you can't make spells. It doesn't mean you can't do anything until you do your shadow work. But it does help your spells. It does help your rituals. It helps everything, because you're 100% there. So you having emotional blockages or past trauma will definitely affect your work later on. It's just my opinion. Okay. Meditation. No, we don't all have to do it. But if you're working on yourself, meditation is strongly suggested. Why? Shadow work is very strenuous. It's very stressful, and it can cause anxiety. We push these emotions down for a reason. And we don't want to bring them back out to the light. No, we don't. So, after being exposed to all that and seeing all that once again, being face to face with all your past traumas and all your blockages, basically, meditation helps. Besides, it also relaxes your body and opens your third eye and helps you perceive things and connect with your higher or your spiritual self. Now we can go on to the do's. Do self-care. Self-care is absolutely necessary. You may not think so, but we all need to do it. Your mind, your body might feel a physical or emotional stress you're currently going through. It is of utmost importance that you take care of yourself however you feel necessary. This can mean anything. This can mean something that you like to do. Give some time to yourself. Why? Because you won't do well in your spell work or during your rituals if your mind is somewhere else. If you feel exhausted, if you feel like you don't want to do things, you don't want to be here, you don't want to engage in all these activities. Okay. Be supportive. This is a particular group that I follow on Facebook. For the majority of the time, they're very, very supportive, and they're very helpful, and they're just there for you. If you have a question, if somebody knows the answer, they'll answer you. They're not disrespectful, and they don't have that bullying thing in any kind of way. So, if you are a part of a group on social media, or if you even know someone that is also on this path, show your support. It's very important. You have no idea how important it is. A lot of people talk about the fact that their previous path was or does frown upon on your current one, which is very seen. Like, this is very, very common that everybody is like, oh, well, I see this a lot on Facebook. I used to be a Christian, or I used to be this, I used to be that, and they don't see very well me practicing, or they call this evil. Like, first of all, we don't work with the devil. We don't know what the devil, we don't believe in the devil, okay? So that is a myth. And the fact that you get to talk about this with other people, it's amazing. It takes a big weight off your shoulders, and you feel like you belong. And that's very important to be in this path, because at the end of it all, we are all connected, believe it or not. Keep it up. We may not always have time in our lives, and believe me, I know. We may not always have time to do a spell or a ritual or any of the previous things I mentioned before. But try to find a way in time to clear your mind and ground yourself in order to keep that energy flowing. Again, I must say that all this information I've gotten from books and friends of higher knowledge than my own, obviously. And if there's something you want to add or make sure that I know or make sure others know, leave a comment down below and maybe you can educate me, or maybe vice versa, on subjects that I don't know much about or you might not. All right, guys, here's the end, and I thank you so much for watching and for subscribing. Hit that little bell somewhere around here and make sure that you get all my videos and all my notifications. Blessed be. Bye.